ales, welcome back to Beard Wizard Reviews, the Battle of the Beer Advent Calendars. This is day 22. So we only have 3 beers left, including the beer we're drinking today, to get through the rest of the Advent. Germany has already taken a significant lead and is going to win this outright competition, but there's still 3 beers left to try and see which ones we like better, so I'm not going to stop there. Before I jump into it, though, please like and subscribe. Click that red button and join the Beard Wizard family. That's the best way to support us. There's other ways in the video description below, too. Does my hat look crooked? My hat looks a little crooked. I don't know. Hey, it's my imagination. Anyway, there are ways to support us. Check out thebeardstruggle.com, Geek Grind Coffee, all of that stuff. But the biggest way, again, just click that red button. Also, follow over on Twitch. I need just a few more of you to follow me there, and I will be at the 50 I need for affiliates. So, getting close. So what is this? A live review show where I pit a German versus a U.S. beer advent calendar, which has 24 beers in it, all different styles. From the German one, all different breweries. From the U.S. one, all from the same brewery. And I see which one I like better. This is not an apples-to-apples comparison, and I am not a professional. This is just what I think about the different beers that I'm tasting and what I like. And I like to try to include some history and some information. I like to make this as educational as possible. So I like to talk about the breweries. I like to talk about the styles of beers, glassware, a lot of different things. And I may expand that in this show as I do more reviews. I plan on probably doing some more stuff. So we'll see how that goes. But anyway, up today from Germany is the Perlenzauber, which is a German pale ale or English pale ale. From the Egerer brewery, which we have heard about before. These guys have not, but it's I think 1950s is about when this brewery was established. This is the one that has their own well, where they get mineral water from for their beer and all of that stuff. There's not a ton of historical information about the brewery on their website. I wish I could share more, but there's just not that much information. But a cool can, it's got some neat graphics on it. It's got a very simple wrap, but yeah, nice looking can. And it's a pale ale. I'll tell you right out of the gate, I'm not a huge fan of pale ales. Some of them tend to be a little hoppy, a little bitter. We'll see. We'll see how this one pans out. And we'll talk about the styles of beers because they're both very similar. From the United States, we got an amber ale, which I actually kind of enjoy amber ales. It depends, though. It depends on how they come out. So both of these are technically pale ales. So looking at the description, a pale ale is a golden or amber colored beer brewed with pale malts. First started around 1703. And it results in a lighter colored beer. It also tends to result in a hoppy or bitter beer, or at least the pale ales I've had have been bitter and hoppy. So we'll see how this one pans out, see where it lands. Now, an amber ale is a type of pale ale where they use the same process in hops, but I'm trying to remember the difference here. Where they use a proportion of amber malts and crystal malts, which changes the color. It also slightly changes the flavor. Now, this amber ale is not quite as amber as I'm used to. I'm used to amber ales being relatively red in color. But anyway, we'll get to it. So, in the German beer, I got a new Stein for Yule. If you will look at that, my son got me this beautiful glassware. And as you can see, my name is on it. The channel name is on it. The Beard Wizard channel now officially has its own Stein. Thank you to my son, Gavin. Fantastic. That's what we'll be drinking today is German beer out of... I got another Stein too, so a new one coming tomorrow as well. But this one, you're going to see this one on the channel a lot. That is a gorgeous, gorgeous piece of glassware. I love the flared top of the mug. I love the handle feel. This is actually over a half liter because it's a half liter of beer right there. So this will actually hold a little more than a half liter, which is fantastic. It'll hold 2 12-ounce beers. We'll test that a little later tonight. Perfectly. So we're going to see how this comes out. How does this... And that has got some weight to it too. Even after you add the beer, that glass base is nice and weighty. So, Prost. How's this pale ale? It's not as bitter and hoppy as I expected. Now, I've had this one before. I had it last year, and I could not remember. I don't like it as well as I've liked other beers that we've had, but it's not as bad as some of the pale ales I've had. It's still got some sort of bitter, sour notes on the back of the tongue, but it's not too bad. It's not too overpowering. Yeah, that's pretty decent. We'll have to see. It's not my favorite, but we'll see. Now this is the amber. Now, just as a comparison, there's not much difference between the pale ale and the amber. The ambers that I drink are darker than that, darker and redder. This is definitely a little darker than the pale ale, but not that much darker. So let's see how this one comes out. Cheers. I'm going to have to clear my palate. I'm still getting the bitterness, I think, from the other one. Yeah, still getting a little bit of that bitterness from the other one. And maybe not. Maybe it's got the same bitterness going on here. It's got that, it's so weird. I caught that whiff on several of the beers now, and I think I described it yesterday like wet laundry. And I'm getting the same out of this one. Whereas I'm not getting it out of that. I'm just getting a whiff of something a little off. And your nose is a good portion of your taste. And if a beer has a bad nose, if it's got a bad aroma, that's going to really affect how it hits your taste buds. I'm not digging it. It doesn't taste like an amber. It doesn't have enough body. It is too bitter. And it doesn't have any flavor that kind of sets itself apart except for being bitter. And so I'm going to have to say, while I don't really care for either one of these beers, neither one of these beers is really good. I'd say the one that most closely represents the style of beer that it's supposed to be is going to be the pale ale. Again, I don't necessarily like pale ales, but as far as what the beer is supposed to taste like, this tastes like a pale ale. It's not as bad as some I've had, though. It's not as bitter as some of the pale ales that I've had in the past. But it tastes like it's supposed to. That amber does not taste like it's supposed to, and I would say of the two not so good beers here, that's the worst one. So we're going to give it to Germany today. Again, Germany is so far ahead that there's no competition. There's no way the United States can come back. Next time, if I do this again, I will probably come up with some sort of point system, because I realized once I get halfway through, if one calendar or the other gets 12 points, that's it. Like, there's nothing they can do but tie it up. It's way too easy for one to sort of lock it in too early. And of course, we want to make it fun and interesting and dramatic. So I may come up with something next year. We'll see. But so far, Germany's going to take the whole thing, and they definitely take it today. But we'll see. We got a couple more beers coming up. I know we've got an IPA in there, but the German beer could wind up being worse. I don't know. And then we have the best beer of the Advent calendar is the last beer in it. So come back for the last show. Day 24 is going to have by far the best German beer that I've had in the Advent calendar. And I can tell you right now, that beer from the United States better be absolutely incredible, or it's got no shot. Absolutely no chance. So we'll see how it goes. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I appreciate you. I am going to have that comic book review here in a little bit, so come back for that. I will see you guys all again soon. You have a great one. Much love. Bye.